find out and have a conversation that explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She is a strategy consultant, speaker, and helping marketing leaders and senior executives maximize their marketing. And of course, an author too, and the author of the book, What the Dolphins Told Me, none other than Miss Janet Granger.
Hi. So good to be here, Daniel. Thank you.
Welcome once again to one of my podcasts, Miss Janet. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I can miss?
Sure. So I spent a career in marketing, did marketing for, as you said, 30 years, and recently learned about animal communication, which is sort of a left turn for someone who's been very data analytics focused. So I've always had a passion for animals, always felt very sort of on the same wavelength as animals, and fostered rescue dogs for years, and saw a couple of videos on YouTube that really changed my thinking and changed my mind about whether or not animal communication existed. So once I saw those, I thought, I want in. And I studied with sort of the grandmother of animal communication. Her name is Penelope Smith. She's got books out there. I studied with her, took a couple of courses, and wrote this book after swimming with wild dolphins off the island of Bimini. And it was really a transformational experience for me. So, what the dolphins told me is sort of a skeptic's journey into animal communication, and then all the really cool stories and learnings from animals.
A cool story, amazing, Janet, indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your book to the world. The title implies communication, a message received. Can you describe the tangible shift in your perception or perception of reality in the hours and days after this encounter with the dolphins? What is your old understanding of the world simply fell away?
Wow. Yeah. So my whole world shifted once I realized that animals can communicate with us. Of course, they do it telepathically because they don't have language the way people around the world do. They do it telepathically, and they do it through sending images and feelings and emotions. And it changed everything. It changed everything. It changed how I think about our roles as humans on this earth and our responsibility for preserving the environment in which these animals live and survive. It changed my sense of how I live on this earth. Understanding there are animal spirits and spirits that continue made me realize that once we're gone, we're not really gone. Again, that changed everything for me, knowing that while I'm here in this earth as this person for now, um, my spirit goes on. So, yeah, I don't know what else could have possibly changed.
Interesting, Miss Janet. Interesting indeed. The language beyond words told me suggests a transmission of knowledge. How will you describe the medium of this communication? Was it emotional, intuitive, or a download of image or feelings, or something of which we have no adequate language?
Wow, that's a fabulous question. So,
Thank you.
the way I've described it and the way others have described it who do animal communication is very much that it is like this really weird download. It's like you get all the information at once, and then we humans spend some time unpacking that with our language to describe it to other people. Um, I also realized I'm somewhat empathic. So if an animal has a problem or an issue in their body, I feel it in my body in a
Mm.
in the correlating muscle or area of my body to how they're feeling it. So it's actually a really interesting combination of download feelings, and actually feeling in my body what they are feeling, if that makes sense.
Makes sense, Miss Janet. Let's talk about the seeker's ready mind. Often such a profound encounters happen when individual is a certain threshold. What was the state of your inner life, your questions, your longing, your struggle that might have made you uniquely open and able to receive what the dolphins had to share?
So I think that two things. One is I have reached a certain age where I realize I don't know everything. When I was 22 years old and graduated from college, I thought I knew everything there was to know and I was ready to conquer the world.
Oh,
And in
yes.
the decades since then, I've realized how little I do know. And I think so, on the one hand, I was open to learn and experience something new. I was not shut off thinking like I know everything. I had a sort of curiosity, right?
Mm.
Um, Curious, not judgmental, to quote Ted Lasso. I was curious, and then also I think another way that I sort of was open to this was um, especially when you're doing animal communication, you sort of go into a meditative state where you are not thinking, you don't have that brain churning and that internal dialogue. You quiet everything and you are present and open, which is a very sort of meditative state. So I think it was a combination of those two things.
A combination indeed. That's so much, Janet. When you first tried to integrate this experience, did you grapple with the rational mind and doubted its realness? Is it?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So so as I was learning with Penelope Smith and trying to learn animal communication and practicing, right? Um, there was this constant gnawing question of, am I just making this stuff up? Because I have a very
Hmm.
creative human brain. I did a lot of creative work. I could just be making all this stuff up. Who knows, right? I have a
Yes.
vivid imagination. And she said something really profound, which was, yes, we all make stuff up and can just imagine stuff. Sure, it can happen. She said, but the way you truly know that you're receiving a message is when you're surprised.
Hmm.
And there were a number of occasions when I thought we were going down one path, right? And then it sort of went over here, enough to the point where it made me laugh. And I realized, oh, I guess I did get a message because that wasn't what I was thinking at all. So when you're surprised, it's a really good sign that yes, you are receiving something.
You're validating it by yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. So the central teaching, Miss Janet, if you had to distill the dolphin's core message about humanity's place in the natural world into one foundational principle, what would it be?
We are all part of a circle and we all get to remember that, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
no one species is more important. We all get to share this planet together in harmony.
Yes. They are all connected, people. Even
Yes,
the universe itself, we are interconnected
we're all
because
connected. Yeah.
we are part of it. So, Miss Janet, dolphins are being of sounds, echolocation, and deep memory. Did their perspective challenge your human linear understanding of time, past, and future?
I don't know if it questioned my understanding of time. but it certainly questioned my understanding of um, how we as humans interact and understand the world.
Mm.
And so, for example, when a dolphin pings you, meaning they send their sonar into you and then can sort of like read through your body, um, first of
Hmm.
all, you feel it in the water. Like you can feel yourself being zapped, which is a really bizarre, it's almost like feeling electrocuted underwater. It's a really bizarre sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize the dolphins are seeing right through you and like there's nothing to hide. Like they see everything. And that that understanding that like all has been revealed is also a really weird, interesting, like you can't hide anything, they see everything. And I've heard stories, this didn't happen when I swam with them, but I've heard stories of dolphins identifying tumors in people and then
Mm-hmm.
hitting them where the tumor is so hard enough so they end up going to the doctor and the doctor discovers there's a tumor there, because they have been, the dolphins know that it's there and it's like a warning. They know things. We have no idea what they know. So there, it was this profound sense of awe that, like, wow, we don't know everything, and there are these beings out there that have this incredible ability, and it just gave me an incredible amount of awe and respect. If that doesn't answer your question, but it sort of does.
Definitely. Yes, Miss Janet. Yes, indeed. Is ability to connect and receive wisdom from another species like the dolphins a rare mystical gift, or is it a dormant capacity within all of us that we can relearn? What blocks it?
I think, and certainly Penelope, my teacher, thinks that everyone can do this. Everyone and anyone. Um,
Mm.
and if I can do it, anyone can do it, quite frankly, being as logically minded as I was brought up to be. I think that, like many things in life, like being an athlete or being a musician or being an artist, some people will have a predilection to be better or find it easier than others. Um, but I believe we all have this ability, especially if you look at very small children. I think little kids do it all the time. Um,
Yes.
but it's like socialized out of them, where they'll say things to their parents and their parents are like, oh, you have a great imagination, oh, you're making that up, and it's like, maybe, but maybe, when we're little kids we're so open and present that we understand it. I certainly felt that way when I was a little kid, and the adults all poo poo you and tell you you'll grow out of it, and eventually you do get socialized out of having that channel open for you.
Miss Janet, the real work begins after the encounter. What are the most difficult part about returning to ordinary life and trying to live by this extraordinary wisdom? Where do you encounter the most friction?
Well, so one of the things the dolphins told me was that I was going to write this book, and I
Mm-hmm.
had just finished another one, and I went, "Oh, really? Do I have to write another book?" It was sort of like being told you have homework to do, and I thought I really don't want to do the homework, but I kept having these messages from them and realized, oh, I'm supposed to be this megaphone for them. I have to get the message out for them about the importance of understanding that we're all here together and that animals have spirits like this and communication and wisdom. So the friction was sort of, ugh, now I've got to go write this book. How am I going to write the book? How am I going to put it together? What am I going to talk about? And I was also very, very afraid of sort of, coming out of the closet as an animal communicator. There was this incredible fear. Um, and that was a lot of friction for me too. Um, and as you can see, I got over it.
Well, Miss Janet, that was amazing. The message, or their message, likely carried both a deep love for Earth and warming. How do you hold the profound grief for or ecological crisis alongside the hope and direction their wisdom provides?
That's a great question. Um, the dolphins basically know that we have a lot of input as to what's happening out there, and they want us to love ourselves and love one another enough to change what we're doing on behalf of the entire earth. And I started my podcast, Wildlife Wins, to talk about nonprofits and scientists and others that are giving people hope. So, part of what I do to try to stay focused on this message and not lose my own hope is to learn about others that are doing good work, right? There are a lot of people around the world doing good work. And I think that it's really important to focus on how each and every one of us can make a difference ourselves in our own small way, even if it's recycling, even if it's, helping in our own way, making a donation to a nonprofit that's really doing good work. So that's kind of what keeps me going as I learn and know about some of the really destructive things that have happened and are happening.
Well, that is interesting, Miss Janet. The loneliness of the loneliness of the messenger, sharing a truth that comes from outside conventional channels can be isolating. How did you find your community or your voice to share this story without diluting its power?
Yes. Um, I actually thought that when I wrote this book, it was going to be the most selfish thing I've ever done because it was all, here's what my experience was. It was me, 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 me. And I thought they told me I should share it and I'll put it out there. And Daniel, I cannot tell you how amazed I am at how many people want to talk to me after they've read this book. They are so moved by one chapter or another about what I talk about, either the animals, my experience with them, what I've learned from them, how I came to this, um, and how we're all connected. That I found it's sort of like art, right? Doing something very, very personal has ended up creating community for me and around me that I never expected. So that very solitary act has given other people permission to talk about this and to feel these things and to share. So I think that sharing with others is probably the greatest thing we can do to create community.
Definitely. Definitely, Miss Janet, and thank you so much for sharing to the world. For readers who finishes your book feeling and longing for their own connection, what is the first accessible step you would recommend to take to open the channel in their own life?
Sure. So I highly recommend they watch the video on YouTube of Anna Breitenbach, Breytenbach, and her conversation with Spirit, the black leopard, to learn more about how animal communication works, to take courses if they want to in animal communication, or just to sit and meditate for themselves and be open to whatever their pets may be sharing with them. It takes a centering and a quiet of the brain and of the spirit, as it were. And as I said, anyone can do this, but you do have to be present and stop that narrative that's happening all the time in your brain so that you're open to these messages.
Thus, be open for everything, people. How does this story challenge a deep seated human belief that we are the pinnacle of intelligence on earth? What becomes possible when we humble ourselves to learn from other beings, Miss Janet?
Everything. I think I think that um, that is part of what I'm trying to share, is that we as humans think we are the be all and the end all. And if we can just open our minds a little bit to say, what if we're not? What if there's more we can learn from whales or dolphins or other species? Like, how amazing would that be in terms of our own journeys, our own spirit, our own feelings of belonging here on this planet? I mean, that's my big ask, is that people just open up their minds a little bit. So like opening a parachute, right? Open up your mind just a little bit to think like, what
Mm-hmm.
if we are not the be all and the end all?
Yes. The what if people and the legacy of a ripple effect. What is the most important ripple effect this book creates in the world, whether in one individual's heart or in our collective policy toward the oceans and its inhabitants?
Yeah, I think that if this can help people feel connected, one person or a million people, if it can help them feel better connected to the world around them, I think right now people are feeling fear and disillusionment and disappointment. Um, and this is an antidote to that. This is to help us feel reconnected, where and how we can do it in a way where we can do it right here, wherever we are, whatever our space is. If we're living in an apartment in New York, we can do it with a cat, right? If we're living out in the country, we can do it going out into the woods and
Mm-hmm.
talking to and listening to the birds. Like wherever we are, we can do this, and it's an antidote to that feeling of depression and sadness and not knowing what to do.
Miss Janet, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well, comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, our fifth season, science 101, sex 101, fourth season, and trivia 101, law 101. Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Experience Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Janet, do you feel your dialogue with the dolphins is ongoing? And if so, what is the question you are sitting with now and the next thing you are listening for?
Yes, I do believe that my conversation with the dolphins is ongoing, which is quite wonderful. And what every day I ask them, am I fulfilling what I should be doing today? And every day I get direction from them um, as to how I can move forward and be moving towards fulfilling my destiny here. Um, and it's a really beautiful, wonderful thing.
It's a beautiful for sure, Miss Janet. And once again, thank you for sharing to the world. Can you please invite our listeners to support your books, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Sure. Well, so What the Dolphins Told Me is available on Amazon and Ingram Spark. So I invite anyone and everyone to take a look at them, read an excerpt, read the book. I also have a journal that people can write in to have follow along with their own experiences personally. That's available on my website at janetgranger.com/book. So yeah, I look forward to hearing what people think and how they've experienced it and what it means for them.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Janet because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering books like this to rise. So, Miss Janet Granger, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. I appreciate it.
More to come, people. See you soon.